And welcome to the Libertarian Affiliate Spotlight, a production of the Libertarian Party Affiliate Support Committee. Valerie Sarwak as chair, and of course, the Libertarian National Committee, Whitney Bilyeu as chair. As always, John Gapso is joining us on the big board. He's the one who'll give you the fun graphs, the newspaper articles tonight, websites, pictures of events that we're going to be discussing. Tonight, rather than focus on an individual affiliate, we're taking the opportunity, taking to the airwaves of LPTV to discuss the regional training that's taking place literally around the country as we speak. We're about halfway through, if you will, the national training tour. And tonight we're going to discuss with some reflections on it, what's available to learn and discuss, the type of people who are doing the training firsthand, why this is an incredible opportunity for candidates from around the country, and the sense of fellowship and unity that this has brought to the party during what is going to be a challenging year filled with opportunity. Folks, we've got elections that are taking place in just 3 months. We've attempted on our candidate show, and we will be focusing extensively in September on these candidates. Some of them are special elections. Some of them are just off-year elections, states that are, well, out of kilter, like I think New Jersey, someplace like that, the Garden State. But as importantly, this sets the stage, it sets the tone, it sets the direction for what's often referred to as the midterm elections in 2022. But in those midterm elections is opportunities around the country, from city council to mayoralties to governor's races, state and local, regional assemblies, general assemblies, state and local senates. Offices abound, if you will, the fruited plain, as they say. We've focused extensively this year on the Moulton maneuver. We've got countless folks running for auditor positions across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The training that's taking place will give folks additional firepower, focus, information. It's a wonderful opportunity. The party has invested significantly in this. The people doing the training have invested significantly in this. So I want to make aware for the libertarian public around the country what training is coming up, and just really kind of put a spotlight on a little bit of perspective. Joining us tonight from around the libertarian universe is Dan Krause. He, of course, is the chair of the New Jersey Libertarian Party, and everyone knows Kara Schultz. She is the training just extraordinaire, if you will, of the Libertarian Party. Folks, welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. Kara, I've got to ask you, have you actually been to every state in the nation at this point to meet libertarians?
It's starting to feel like that.
Now, you've got a couple of cultural challenges that you present to each host. I know Jess Mears is actually, via the Washington Post, is a renowned fan of Chick-fil-A. You, on the other hand, embrace the all-American delicacy, aka the hot dog.
Yeah.
Tell me about your hot dog experiences. What's leading so far?
So the Chicago dog is in the lead.
Whew.
It's still in the lead.
The smackdown.
Yeah. And I didn't expect that, because when I got a Chicago hot dog and I looked at it, pretty much every item that's on it, I don't like and think is disgusting. But together, it was amazing. Like, it was amazing to the point that I even bought that like neon green nuclear green relish crap and bought sport peppers and had them sent so that I could recreate it at home.
There's a libertarian analogy in there somewhere.
Well, there's got to be.
Leave it at that.
Yeah. So and I've had hot dogs in. Okay, so South Dakota was so far the worst.
Really? What about South Dakota?
Detroit though was close. I'm sorry, Detroit. Your hot dogs also suck. I'm just throwing it out there. They're not good.
They got bad city government and bad hot dogs. They're losing everywhere.
Well, I mean, it's a chili dog. So Detroit is a type of chili dog, right? But the chili was absolutely flavorless, and it might as well have been Alpo on there. Like, it was not good. It was not good.
Well, wait, where's that Minnesota kindness? Holy cow.
There is no kindness when it comes to food. I'm serious about that.
So. Okay. Boy, wow. And by the way, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, has something called an Italian style hot dog, and it's harder to find now as sort of New Jersey is becoming a melting pot. But a New Jersey hot dog is a half of a sort of a half a roll, and they fry not French fries but potatoes, onions, and peppers in with the hot dog right on the grill, and it is good and good for you.
Well,
So
it's up there
I
with the
had in
fat sandwich you
Chicago-
can find in New Brunswick.
And that
Yeah, we
does
got something
sound
called a
good.
fat sandwich, Kara. You got to try that when you're here.
Oh man.
I would do that.
Well, you have traversed country. How many locations have you gone to so far to do regional training?
So we've done 4. We've done 4 out of the 8 regions so far. And we've done region 1, 2, 4, and 5. So those are now complete. And I just got back from region 4, which is California, because California is its own region. And so the training was in Long Beach, California. So we got done with that one. I just got back like about 11:30 midnight Sunday night.
Excellent. And what regions have you come in what order are they coming up in?
Okay, so the next training that we're having is Des Moines. And so that will be region 6. And so that is September 18th and 19th. And then we have region 7, which will be Shreveport, Louisiana. That's September 25th and 26th. And region 3 is October 16th and 17th. And then we have region 8, of course, and that's going to be in Atlantic City. So we have a pretty good lineup that's still to come. And I see you're scrolling the dates at the bottom, which is great. The regions that we've already done the training, those pins get removed from the map because we don't want people irritated when they go to try to find a training near them and they're like, no, you can't go.
When they show up and there's no one there. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be good.
Which raises an important point. Pre-registration is required for this. And so folks need to keep that in consideration. One of the, and this is a testament to how successful the training's been and how a word has spread literally like wildfire across the Libertarian nation. I believe you said Indiana has got a waiting list.
So actually region 6 has a waiting list. Indiana is getting close to needing a wait list. And so is Shreveport actually. And I think the only reason why Atlantic City doesn't yet have a wait list is because we just announced the location and reopened registration for that one. So if you are thinking about registering, do so very quickly. And if you do get on a wait list, that's okay, because sometimes people, as it gets closer, they realize they have a conflict or that type of thing, and they just can't attend. And then if you're number 1 or number 2 on that wait list, you can sneak in.
Excellent. And attendance is not limited to people in that region, correct?
Oh, no. And we have people that attend from out of the region. It's just whichever one is more convenient for you. It's hosted by the region and particularly by a state within that region. But you can attend any one of them. And, we do have people that attend from different areas. Like, we just had California. Well, there were people from other states that were there. The other really neat thing that we've seen, which I find particularly exciting, is so we have 2 education tracks, and you can get certified in one of them because you have to go for the whole weekend in that track to be certified.
And you have to choose before you go, right, Kara?
Yes, you do. Because we want to make sure we have enough materials and enough space to host people for that training track. So you can either attend campaigns, and that's to train people to be campaign staff. Or the other one is affiliate leadership, whether that is national, state, or county level leadership. And you don't need to already be a leader. You can be someone who is considering taking a leadership position. And what's really exciting is, so in these first trainings, we had people take one education track. They found it valuable enough that they flew out to another region's training to do the other track.
Wow.
That's really beautiful. That's really wonderful. And
It's exciting.
As a leader of a state affiliate, I'm so thrilled that this training is happening, because one of the things that has been lacking and we've been struggling with is making sure that the people on the ground have knowledge that they can just spread
Yes.
and get that best practice out there and do the good work on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
The in terms of the process by which this was arrived at, this was something that had been in the works for a number of years. Kara, if you could speak to how, and folks, we're just a few months away from budgeting at the LNC for the next, if you will, fiscal year. And so this is why we need folks in the grassroots to support these efforts.
Yes.
Through your contributions and through your hard work and your volunteership. But in specifically in this case, there's a fair amount of money invested by the party in this.
Yes.
And financial support is critical going forward. But what was the process that you and folks on the professional staff at the Libertarian Party got this passed and got this through?
So I've been working on getting this put forward almost from when I started as a contractor for LP National. So almost 3 years now. And mainly because there were areas that our affiliates and our candidates were asking for help. And the number one thing that our candidates have been asking for actually isn't money. They were asking for trained campaign staff. That was their most vital need. So we knew we needed to address that. And then on the affiliate side, we also had people being put into leadership positions, and they weren't trained and they weren't clear about what they wanted to do. They wanted to support their affiliate. They wanted to help their members. They wanted to help candidates, and they weren't sure how to do that. Likewise, delegates were asking us for a way to not make our elections popularity contests, but a way that they could know that someone at least had a baseline skill level. They knew some fundamentals of best practices, and also that they were serious about being servants, right? Being servants to their membership. And so that's what we're doing with this certification track. So we got the green light to do it, but we needed to come up with the funds for it because it was not in the budget. And so we fundraised by region. And when regions got to a certain level, then they were green lighted. And we also had a larger donor who really believed in this project. And he made up the difference and donated so that it could just happen. He's like, I want this to just happen. This needs to go forward. And so he donated the money so that could happen. And so at that point, we knew we were a go. And then it was all about the logistics, which has been kind of crazy.
Let's look back just for a moment, and I mean just for a moment, at last year's experience, the noble effort put through the Convention Oversight Committee in somehow managing to get an in-person convention off the ground. Now, we're months into it. You're talking about literally eight locations across the nation, seemingly eight different variants, 8 different styles of government, 8 different approaches, and 8 very different levels of expense. I know, speaking for Region 8, and full disclosure, I'm the alternate now to the Libertarian National Committee. Cost consideration was an issue.
Yes.
And Dan, maybe elaborate on that. As you got closer to the central part of the region, the costs exploded.
We actually had a first aborted attempt earlier on in the late spring, early summer to hold the Region 8 training. Unfortunately, costs for a base level event was roughly $9,000 for the rooms.
Yeah.
And the costs have not improved at all, because now, as things are opening up, we're getting pent up demand and people are buying out the rooms that are available. Fortunately, the great staff over at the National Committee and the National Party were able to find a location in Atlantic City, right on the boardwalk,
Right.
that is able to accommodate not only the number of people that we want to accommodate, but also at an expense level that we can actually, stomach, that isn't going to bankrupt either our state or the National Committee. And it's a wonderful opportunity to make sure that people that are just, we in New Jersey, and I'm sure a lot of other states have experienced a similar issue. You don't have enough money to raise the people. You don't have enough people to raise the money. Now, we in New Jersey decided to focus on getting volunteers and focus on getting people and developing local organizations to support our own form of the Florida model, or the Mullen maneuver, or insert the latest trend in local organizing here. And this kind of training that's specific to affiliate leadership, that's specific to supporting campaign staff, is exactly what we need to empower people at the local level to go from the 1, the 2, the 5% response to actually winning the seat when they run for office, and governing well and showing what we as a party can do, and making that brand of success and that idea of success and a free population at the most local level, so that everyone can experience a life where they aren't hemmed in by regulation or some petty despot at the town council or insert problem here. I mean, it really is a sea change in how the National Party is assisting affiliates. And if you are on the fence on to whether or not you want to go to this training, jump off the fence and join us, because that knowledge you're bringing with you, you can transmit to people that aren't able to attend. So please come join us.
And before we get into the real the specifics of the training, Kara, you had alluded to the notion that people are going to walk away with a great deal of material. And that's material, obviously, that can be easily replicated and put on file, if you will, so that it becomes part of the institutional memory of that individual affiliate, whether it be the statewide affiliate or local affiliates, or just a group of folks in a town like Burnsville, Minnesota, who have essentially taken over the city and are using that in a manner not unlike the what was it, Coming to America, the the McDowell's, the McDonald's manual. That can be done here as well. How much documentation are you sending people home with? What kind of material?
So they do receive a binder that has extra information in it, and an area that they can write their notes down and that type of thing. In addition, all of the presentations that we're doing, they're in electronic form, and all of our attendees have access to that. And part of why we do that is, yes, so that they can look back on that and, be reminded of it, and they don't have to take a picture of every slide and all that kind of stuff. But the other reason is we're asking our attendees to take a leadership position, and when they go home, they are now the trainer. So they can take that information and they can do those presentations and get that information out into their affiliate or to, their campaign team or that type of thing. I'm a real big believer in making sure that we build our institutional knowledge and have it on a firm foundation, rather than everything just kind of going away constantly and we have our feet knocked out from us all the time. So that's something we're really focused on trying to get away from. And so these training sessions, both of them are fundamentals. So you can get fundamentals in campaigns, or you can get fundamentals in affiliate leadership. And it's meant to give the party a wider common base of knowledge and skill level. We're raising the floor up. Because every organization, whether it's a campaign or it's an affiliate, you go through boom and bust, right? And what we've had is a lot of spinning in place. And what we're looking at now is you'll do a boom and a little bust and a boom and a little bust and a boom, but your trajectory is going upwards instead of coming back down to that floor level again.
Right. So in a sense, creating a legacy
Yeah.
amongst all the other components of a local affiliate that you can move forward as, the party's growing. We saw an influx of folks who had never been involved in the Big L since during the Joe Jorgensen campaign, and as it reflected a radically different subset, a mix of people, and a lot of these folks have stuck with us. So we gotta coach them up. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
We do.
That retention.
Yeah. And when we were at, God, I think it was Region 5's training, almost half of the people that were at that training had been in the party for a year or less.
Wow.
That's beautiful. People, it's the passion of the converted. People come in and they want to know what to do next, and it's absolutely the critical moment for them to. Well, we see it all the time in New Jersey when we bring people in. They come in, they want to do something, and we have to find ways for them to be employed and do meaningful work, and to make meaningful change for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people are looking for ways to contribute, and people want to do a really good job, whether they're in a campaign helping a candidate or they're in an affiliate. They do want to do better. They want to do a really good job. They want to serve membership, or they want to serve their candidate. But if we're not showing them how to do that and giving them the best practices, these people are not mind readers.
No.
So, we've got to help them out. And that is a really good use of LP National's resources, to do this, to give our affiliates and our campaigns the tools that they need to be successful.
There's the obvious example of my own experience with the party. I came in 2016 from other unaffiliated Liberty groups, and spent the next several years making all sorts of insane, crazy mistakes that if I had something like the training the National Party is providing to the regions, I would have been able to leapfrog over those mistakes and just get to the good work of getting people elected or getting myself elected, instead of floundering about and just being unsure how to be effective.
And so one of the classes that we teach for the affiliate leadership is planning and strategy. So as a leader, how do you do planning and strategy for your affiliate? And so we walk them through in a way that makes it way less daunting, how to do a 3-year plan for your affiliate, whether that's a county affiliate or a state affiliate. And that's the work that is not sexy, but without it, you can't go forward. There's too many other directions, and shiny, and then this happens, and this emergency happens, and then so it's helping them to get really focused on what is something that they really want to accomplish, and then how do we make that plan so that they can do it. So Michelle is one of our trainers, so she's with me, like she's doing every single one of them. The logistics is pretty crazy because we have 5 or 6 trainers that go out to each of these. Each region has had its own unique challenges. We don't have the same trainers that are each one, but because it's a first certification course, we have to make sure that core areas are covered that are the same, but there is a little bit of flexibility on some of the ancillary things. So it does get pretty interesting to pull this off and to make sure everything's set for the venue, all the trainers are good to go, the attendees know where they're supposed to be, and it's also, the coursework is pretty intense for the attendees. By the time they get done at like Saturday evening. They're a little like, oh my God. And then they come back Sunday morning bright and early. And by the time they leave Sunday, they're happy, but they kind of look like they've been through a little bit of a war.
Well, not for nothing. If you spend the entire day Saturday, downloading all this information into your brain, and you happen to be at the Region 8 training on October 9th and 10th, you can just walk outside to the boardwalk at Atlantic City and roll some bones and maybe make some money. Just saying.
Exactly.
Catch a show, enjoy yourself.
Just joining us now is, in fact, the freshly minted, freshly elevated Region 8 LNC representative, Rich Bowen. Rich, thanks for joining us tonight. I know it's been a hectic day for you.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite, and I apologize that I am late, and also wanted to congratulate you. I think you mentioned it a little earlier, but everyone should know that I believe it was on August 2nd, Pat Ford was elected the LNC Region 8 alternate by the 8 state chairs in the Great Region, Region 8. So congratulations. I look forward to working with you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Now, Rich, you
Pat.
I don't know why he did it to himself, honestly.
No, let's be blunt. Pat's kind
I
of
advised you against it, if you recall, Pat.
Right. And
He's been there before. He knows what he's getting into.
Yeah. Do they know what they're getting into with me? Anyway, but Rich, as something of a blabbermouth, now all of a sudden, Pat's got to put up. So it's hammer time. It's get to work time. Rich, you actually have a different subset of experience, if you will, than many. You are you've got a significant accounting background, a tremendous accounting background, and you have been involved both at the audit level of the state and national party. And also, you've been intimately involved in things like campaign finance and the mechanics of the campaign, which is, until this training, I don't want to say it certainly wasn't undervalued, because anyone who's run a campaign knows how important those positions are. But I don't know if enough public light, if enough air, enough oxygen was given to just how important these positions are. Speak to your experience, having been involved at multiple levels and multiple campaigns in New Jersey.
Well, it varies from state to state. As you said, I'm from New Jersey, and the requirements in New Jersey are actually fairly simple. We have a New Jersey Election Commission here, where we do have to report on a quarterly basis if we're above a certain threshold. But it's actually a fairly simple process, in that it's just disbursements and donations for the most part, a list with some details and certain thresholds. So it really depends from state to state as to how difficult or how easy it might be. There are some states out there, I know Ohio is one of them, that have some pretty tough reporting requirements. The campaigns have to report. They have to report individual donations. It's at awkward times. So it just depends from state to state. And then obviously we have the FEC at the national level, which is can be done. Just as a note, if you're working with the FEC, everything now has to be electronic. You may want to go out and find some third-party software, some third-party vendors to help you out with that, as the FEC software, the generic software, is actually very difficult to use. So that's something to keep in mind. But yes, you're right. It's extremely important. And the other thing is, what I've always tried to do along with the reporting and the logistics is, I really believe that it goes hand in hand with fundraising and donations. So when I've been involved in campaigns, doing logistic bookkeeping, auditing, and accounting, I've also tried to be involved with the fundraising too. Excellent.
So Kara, let's get into the weeds a little bit here.
Sure.
There's two tracks.
Yes.
And let's actually start with the campaign management side, because
Sure.
We still have, we do the candidate show on every Friday, and I still have folks talking to me, well-meaning, who say offline things like, "Oh, I don't need a campaign manager. I'm going to do it." Or my favorite, "I really don't feel comfortable raising money. I don't think we need money." At which point, after I get up off the floor, we try to have a little in Jersey, we call it a sit down, right, guys? Down south, they call
We'll
it a
sit down, we'll chat, we'll have a little coffee, maybe slap you upside the head a little bit.
Talk to us about some of the specifics of what you're going to be diving into from the campaign management side.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things that we go through with people who want to either manage campaigns or be campaign staff is how to evaluate the race to see if that race could be competitive for a libertarian to run. And so we do go through some pretty defined number scenarios of how to calculate how many, what's the expected voter turnout, how many votes are needed to win, what's the persuadable universe size, and is it statistically possible to have a large enough persuadable universe to equal the number of votes needed to win, how much money needs to be raised, that type of thing. So we go through, and then they go through, how do you evaluate the candidate? Is this the right candidate for that race? What are the strengths and weaknesses of that candidate? What's the political environment that the race is going to be run in, and how much of that favors your candidate and how much of that is, something that's going to be a serious challenge. And I'm asking campaign staff to, before they automatically say yes to candidates that they're going to assist them, to take a step back and do this analysis, which is going to take them probably a day or two before they decide, so that when they're making a decision, they're doing so with their eyes open and understanding what the situation is, and that they can also talk with the candidate about what the situation is and what it looks like and how good the chances are. And so they're going to learn how to do that before they even agree to start. By the end of the 2 days, we go through and we cap all of the classes off with how to write a campaign plan. And the fun part is every class that we've gone through, almost in order, is the order that they would write their campaign plan in. So, I mean, we really walk them through. And I see that people have questions, and one of them says, yeah, in small town elections, it's hard to convince people that there's more than two choices. So our classes do address the unique challenges that libertarians face. This is not generic campaign training. This is very specific to our candidates and the challenges that they face. And so we get into some of the nerdy stuff, which talks about, are they making, are voters making habit-based decisions, which is, towards the back, or how do you get someone then to shove a decision-making process into the frontal cortex, so that it's now a value-based decision? And what are the triggers to do that? And what what increases that chance? And how do you increase voter confidence? And, so, I mean, we do get into, the stuff that I like and find is really exciting. Others might think it's a little nerdy, but it is extremely important. And we also want to shift our campaign staff's mindset, because unlike the Republicans, Democrats, we can't squander any resources, not our money, not our time. And so we do need to do things a little differently to wring every bit of effectiveness out of everything that we're doing. Republicans and Democrats, a lot of what they do in campaigns is utterly useless, and they're throwing away resources. But they can and still win. We can't. So, we're going to walk you through that. What you're talking about, just at first blush, represents a remarkable evolution from the approach to candidate recruitment that had been, if you will, the mantra of the Libertarian Party just even a few years ago. In a very real sense, are you challenging people to make a truly informed decision, not an emotional decision, but an informed decision as to whether to even run or not? And that is an incredible step from where we used to be, which was we would just want warm bodies to fill up. Right.
What's the thought process? I mean, I support it and I embrace it. It's fantastic. But what was the thought process? How did you get there?
So I mean, there's a couple different schools of thought, and one is, which actually is true, that there is a quality that quantity has all of its own, right? If you have enough, you have a certain level of quality that happens. And this is a more nuanced look at candidate recruitment and support. And what it is we're just asking candidates to know why they're running. Your goal, your win, may not be to win the election, because that's not possible, but it may be for ballot access, or it may be for something entirely different, such as recruiting people into the party, because candidates are really good at that. But understand that that is what your win is, and then you're going to devise your whole campaign plan to achieve that specific win. And so we're asking people to understand what is realistic that they can do, what can they achieve, what can their win be, and then really go after that. So it's a little more nuanced than either only run if you can win the election, or if you can fog a mirror, get your name on the ballot.
So in a real sense, you're asking people to be blunt, to write a business plan for their candidacy.
They have to. You have to have a written campaign plan. It's, at this point, it's unacceptable if you don't.
If I can step in here and completely agree with Kara, the most frequent answer I want to give to someone that wants to run for a position of elected office in New Jersey is not that one. Try something lower, because people will come out and want to run for Senate. They'll want to run for Congress. They'll want to run for governor. They'll want to run for these high positions, and they have zero political experience. Honestly, most of the time, people are best suited and have best experience with things that are at the most local level. And if you can take time to sit down, write out your plan, understand what your constituents' needs are, who they are, what they need from the people that are running for office, you're going to have a far better effect and far better, higher chance of getting elected, especially if you take the time in the off season to build the inevitability of your run and build the visibility of your running for office before you're even a candidate. People that joke that we never stop running for president in this country. There's a reason for that. It takes 3 years, 4 years really, to run for president. If you want to run for governor, if you want to run for Congress, if you want to run for dog catcher, give yourself time, because no amount of money in the world will buy you more time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the things that campaigns are always looking for, which is time, money, and people. It's like any project, and so if a candidate has as what they consider a win, that they are in a televised debate, which absolutely that can be their entire campaign win, because they're able to articulate to an audience, a wide audience, libertarian solutions, which that audience, that may be the first time they're ever hearing those types of solutions. That's an acceptable win. But what I'm going to say is make a campaign plan with everything going towards that goal. And that campaign plan is going to look very different than someone else's campaign who is looking for an electoral success. And that's fine. But we do need to be a little more serious and a little more professional, about our runs.
Have you found anyone as a result, or has it been perhaps even anecdotally told you, someone who's actually been confronted with that process and has decided not to run?
There have been people that have decided to go to the next election cycle, because they do want to do a really good job. And so they do decide to go to another election cycle so that they can have the time that they need to fundraise and get their plan together and get their people in place.
That's not a negative. That's
No.
It's a good move.
It is.
In most cases.
Yeah. When people
The
do
extra
that
time.
and they're serious, I want to high five them.
Yep.
I mean, if you can take 3 years of fundraising for a campaign instead of 3 months of fundraising for a campaign, and getting your name out there and building the brand and spreading the word of what the policies you put in place are, that's a huge multiplier. And these trainings that Kara is running is exactly where you can learn how to put those ideas on paper and actually put them off the page and into action so you can win the race you're going for.
Yeah. And so some of the classes that we have, we usually start the day and end the day with a class that everyone attends. So whether you're in a leadership position or you're wanting to be campaign staff, you're taking those classes. One of them is how to do outreach. Another one is how to recruit volunteers, because whether you're in an affiliate or whether you're in a campaign, you need to know how to recruit and retain volunteers. We have media relations, because everyone needs to know how to do basic media relations, which includes crisis communications, and we do try to incorporate not just presentations, but little exercises that the attendees go through, and it's somewhat a little eye-opening for them on some of them. But the feedback that we're getting is incredibly high. We give people that are attending, they have a survey, and it's the first thing we put in their hands. And we want them to have it in front of them the entire training, so that they are able to take notes and write down things that they thought went really well, things that they wish were different, all of that kind of thing as the training progresses, so that as each region we go through, we can do a better job and do that. And yep, we have some quotes from some of our attendees, and they also score it. And so on asking if, out of 5, would you recommend this training? We're holding at 4.82. So the feedback has been incredible and overwhelmingly positive. And we have people who are attending the campaign training, and they've at the end of it, they've said, I've been in several campaigns. I've been a candidate. I've helped on several campaigns. I thought I pretty much knew most of what was going to be presented, and I didn't. There was a lot that I got out of there. In the last training that we did, I was talking with the affiliate leaders, and in a roundtable, they were going over what is a challenge that you feel your affiliate, is facing right now. And then they were also able to articulate what they were going to be taking from that training to do in their affiliate that they think will have the biggest positive impact in their affiliate. And it's been great seeing people who are fired up and willing to do the work.
Do you think, how shocked are folks, particularly, I mean, you're training folks who have never run for office. And then of course you're, by definition, you've got folks in that crowd who have run multiple times, sometimes just to warm that seat up. And again, we applaud that, because if that's your strategy, if that's the affiliate strategy, God bless.
Others people have been chairs for like 10 years or more. Yeah.
Right. So how shocked are they? It's got to be a real eye opener when they realize, and I say this with love because I'll be in the same boat, just how little they actually knew relative to what they thought they knew. I mean, it's campaigning now is it's no longer just knock on the door and show up and hand out a couple of badly written press releases that no one picks up on, is it?
No, it isn't. And some people are a little nervous that they're like, well, you're doing real basic stuff. So, I mean, is that really things that people are gonna be interested in? Is it really going to be helpful to a lot of people? But just like with anything, when you have really good coursework that is teaching those strong fundamentals, you realize the gaps that you didn't even know you had. And then you start to realize, if I could fill in that gap, man, we would be firing on all cylinders. And that's what we're trying to get to, is that real strong foundation that you can build up from, that's stone instead of sand. But yeah, there's all kinds of, small little tidbit areas that when you build them together, they're pretty important. And you may not have ever learned that or heard that from someone else.
If I could just ask, how much time did you and the professional staff at the Libertarian Party invest in creating this course material?
I would cry if I started to add it up. And keep in mind, we have to do all of our regular stuff, right?
Right.
So we can't not do that. So I will tell you that staff has put in an incredible amount of their own time, just like their own time, coming up with this curriculum, and making sure that it's the best curriculum that they can put forward. And, yes, we have 5 trainers at each one. Some of them we have 6 at, but it's different people too. So we have like 11 or 12 trainers, and they're all putting their time forward on this. And then it is the training actually there, and then it is the debriefing afterwards, and what do we need to change, and is there a slight adjustment we need to make, and okay, well, I think a different order would work better this time. I think this module needs a tweak. So it's not even that we came up with it and then you're good to go and you're done. We are looking for continuous improvement.
So you mentioned, I apologize. You mentioned earlier running for office, and I have to give a shout out to our own Greg Mealy, who's running for New Jersey governor, who will win the New Jersey governor's seat this coming November. He's a fantastic guy, but he's one who has run several times, been through the ringer, had to make all the mistakes that he could have avoided if these trainings had been available beforehand. And I am confident in saying, given how much effort, time, and care has gone into these trainings, that this might be the largest individual investment that the National Party has put into its affiliates and its local members and activists. Something that Greg is doing is completing the second of 3 planned 21 county tours, which is actually getting him media coverage. Mm-hmm. So it's a paradigm shift from what we used to think of, why aren't we getting media coverage, to what we've learned by working with CARA, by working with the Affiliate Support Committee, by just learning by doing it wrong the first few times. By being newsworthy, he's actually being in the news now, which is something that these kinds of tidbits that are just so really are what these trainings are all about, and why it's important to, if you want to organize your county, if you want to organize your town, if you want to organize your state and make it effective, or just run for office in a more meaningful way, come to these trainings. Come to Atlantic City, of course, but come to any of these trainings and get this knowledge in your mind so you can get it out to your fellow libertarians on the ground.
By the way, Greg Mealy will be joining us on Candidates Corner this Friday evening at 9:00 on LPTV, on the Libertarian Party Facebook page, on the LPTV Facebook page, and the YouTube page. And
Pat, I just wanted to let you know that Greg's entire campaign staff will be at the campaign training in Atlantic City. He was a big proponent of it, and it's actually one of the reasons we tried to get it scheduled early, so that he had more time for his campaign. Greg has run a few times at the local level. He's graduated up to the governor's race, and I expect he's not finished there.
Not by a long shot.
So his entire campaign staff was very, very excited about getting this training specifically for this election, but also for future elections. And it's one of the reasons that we talked about having it in New Jersey, because we have such a high profile race this year, which is unusual in an odd year. And I think it's going it's going to help Greg and his campaign staff well into the future. So we're looking forward to it.
And he really is doing fantastic work out there. He is the most present campaigner I have experienced in my entire time in politics in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So if I could say one more thing about
please.
training in Atlantic City. We had talked with all the state chairs and some of the state leaders in Region 8, and we realized that New Jersey is the most southern state in the region. For those who don't know, it moves north through New York, then the rest of the Northeast and New England. The rest of the state chairs were okay with that. They were happy to have it in New Jersey. So we'll get some people down from there. But I also want to let people know that Region 5 is very, very close. Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, they're all within a day's driving distance. So for those that want to do the other track in from Region 5, if they did one track, they can do the other, in Region 8. So we think it's a nice location.
Yeah.
Shout out to Atlantic City in October. It's beautiful. It's great weather. It's still warm, and you don't deal with the crowds. So it's
not
really
for nothing. If the blue hair crowds. Sorry, Rich. I was about to say, not for nothing, if the blue hair crowd can get out there to gamble from Pennsylvania and further west, I think we all can get out there for a little bit of trading.
Yep,
absolutely.
And I do know that Pennsylvania was just waiting for it to go live so they could sign up, because that was their plan. Like, they're like, yes, we're closer to that one. So
PATCO line runs right from Philadelphia.
Kara, do you have any statistics on these upcoming training? Do you know what the maximum number is and what percentages we're at this point?
So looking at Des Moines is on a wait list right now. Shreveport, Louisiana, we have a couple spots left, and then they go on a wait list. Region 3, I think we have like maybe 20 slots left out of 95. And then Region 8 has just opened back up a little bit ago, and we're working with the venue to raise the cap, because we already know we're going to hit on that cap very hard extremely quickly. So yeah, so I mean, seriously, if you're thinking about registering it just needs to happen,
right?
Or it's not going to happen.
Now, you should be clicking on the link to register right now. Honestly, just switch over from us, make a new tab, click on the link. You can listen to us while you register. Just do it.
Let yourself go. Kara, we spoke a lot about the if you will, the campaign administrative, the campaign management track. Let's in some of the time we have left, let's talk about just some of the specifics in terms of the campaign, if you will, the candidates track, and some of the things that you're going to cover in depth. And you everyone spoke to media. Listen, we've got a wonderful story as a national party. And it also helps that, as I like to say, we're right. And we were proven right again this weekend, sadly, tragically. But as we become more publicly right, folks have an opportunity now to jump in and gain this type of leadership experience. But, as we all know, messaging is a very delicate task.
It is.
How much time will be spent in terms of dealing with the media, particularly developing earned media and messaging?
Sure. So we have a couple different communications classes, and we have on the campaign side and also on the affiliate leadership side, we do have a class just on communications, generally, like how you develop your communications plan, what goes into that, how to not be shoved into being a single issue candidate, having a consistent voice, that type of thing. And those classes are separate because you do a plan differently for a campaign than you would for an affiliate. And then the class that is together for everyone on communications is media relations. And that is about how do you make that plan? How do you work with and manage the press? How do you deal with being interviewed? What is crisis communications? How do you protect your brand? So that's what we're looking at for communications. But, just looking at some of the other classes, everyone goes through management and leadership, because whether you're managing a campaign or you're managing an affiliate, that's something you all need to do, how to use benchmarking, how to create a positive team environment. And then we go into, we branch off, and you either go into like campaign basics. What is the basic structure in an organization, and how do you evaluate a race and a candidate? Or you go into state affiliate basics. What's the structure of that? What's the roles and responsibility? How do you build a strong affiliate? And then we go into some fundraising classes. Whether you're in campaigns, you would take one fundraising class, or you're in an affiliate, you would take another one. Planning and strategy for both of them. And then there's, volunteer recruitment, outreach. And then there's also classes so for your affiliates, a class on what is an executive director? Why would you have an executive director? What can an executive director do for you? We also have a class training on how to utilize the CRM. We have a class on increasing membership. How do you increase your membership? How do you increase your fundraising? All of those types of classes. In the region that we just did, we had Kevin Gowan from Pennsylvania, and he was one of the trainers, and he was able to show exactly how Pennsylvania built up in under 2 years to now they have 90,000 a year coming in gross revenue. And they have over 1,000 members. And they had I think it was 400 and some people at their last convention. And how they did that, because, we do have affiliates who are in this chicken and egg thing. I don't have money, and we don't have people, and we need money and we need people, but we need the money and the people to get more money and people. And how do we do that? And he's able to walk you through how to do that in 3 months.
Wow.
3 months, and you can replicate it.
So critical.
If there was, from my perspective, having met a lot of candidates, the comfort zone, the biggest challenge in getting a comfort zone, I should say, is clearly asking for money. People, even veteran salesmen who are used to selling a product and asking for the business, it may be a cultural issue. We're just uncomfortable with asking for money. People, veteran candidates from the establishment, from the duopoly, often talk about their discomfort demon dialing all day. Yeah. Which by the way, the duopoly does. They'll put their candidates on a phone, yes, for hours at a time, yes, with the expectation, not a request, the expectation that they will raise a certain amount of money in a certain time. And their viability as a candidate is judged by that. And the national party's willingness to contribute and support that campaign is a direct function of their willingness to do the awkward, difficult job of asking for money.
Even at the congressional level, your position on certain boards and committees is dictated by how much time you're dedicating to raising money and how much money you can actually raise. I mean, they are not messing around, these other evil zombie parties. And we need to make sure that we are A-OK with being the rational people and saying we need to spend money on flyers, we need to spend money on pizza for volunteers, we need to spend money. So we need to be okay with accepting it from people that want to give it to us.
Mr. Bowen, Rich, if I could ask you a question, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, because I'm going to say this not knowing just how true it is. It is my understanding that in most jurisdictions, if you will, an expense going out for campaign training can be paid for by money raised by that individual's campaign?
Yes, it can. It's a training expense. So it is a valid expense by by a campaign in, as far as I know, all 50 states and at the FEC level.
Right. So, folks, if you're trying to raise the do-re-mi, or as we say in Rhode Island, the skadol, for the plane flight or the hotel nights, you can, as long as subject, obviously, to campaign contribution limits, you can hit up your friends, family, neighbors, co-workers, or random people on the street and say, hey, listen, I want to go to campaign training. Can you spot me $50? Do a fundraiser, do a money bomb, do anything. Get out to this training. Right, Rich? I mean,
that is correct. People sometimes who aren't experienced in fundraising always tend to be afraid of the agencies out there. And there's no need for that. The agencies, the FEC, there are very few rules as to what you can and cannot spend on. If it's considered an expense of a campaign, it's allowable. It's just the issue comes down to reporting. They will accept, any agency will accept almost anything as long as it is reported correctly. So when you're out there campaigning, when you're out there fundraising, I always recommend to people, don't worry about what you're spending it on. Don't worry about, how it's classified. Just make sure you have someone on staff that knows how to report it correctly and to fill out the paperwork and move on. That's the least of people's worries in a campaign. I always try to tell people, and I know it hangs over the head of a lot of candidates. It actually stops candidates from running because they're afraid of the paperwork. And we need to learn that is absolutely not the case.
In fact, Rich, I'd go so far, and my perspective is somewhat limited. You've got a lot of experience in this space. I have found, and aren't most state election boards, if you're proactive and you're calling them to ask a question in anticipation of an action, they're usually really helpful. In fact, aren't they often overjoyed that you're actually asking? They
are. And as a CPA, I will give you an example. They're in some ways, they're a lot like the IRS. Okay. The IRS, if you call the IRS, people will talk to you and help you. If you do not talk to the IRS, or if you avoid them, that's when they get the other team involved to come after you. So even something as bureaucratic as the IRS, if you are proactive and you reach out, you can get help. And New Jersey is very much like that. I have most of my experience with New Jersey and the FEC too. I've rarely have I run into, I've often run into problems with the IRS, obviously. I have yet to really run into any issues with any of the election agencies. I know in one case, for example, I think it was a New Jersey return. We had a couple of mistakes when I was treasurer of New Jersey. I called them. They said, well, you need to fix this. You'll need to fix that. I'm like, fine. What's the deadline for fixing it? Whenever you get around to it. So people don't need to be fearful of these election commissions. Not at all. And it is, again, it is no reason not to run.
The word of advice I try to give to candidates is write down whatever you do, and then do a regular conversation with the people at the organization you're reporting to, so that you can report it, because they would rather not chase people down. You're running for an office. You're not exactly hiding in the shadows here, right?
Right.
So if you're gonna be spending money, if you're gonna be trying to convince people to vote for you, just take the little bit of time it takes to call someone at the office, say, hey, I'm doing this thing. How do I report it? Write it down, send the email or file electronically, and get it off of your chest. Don't make it a weight on your mind that will drag your campaign down. Send the info in. If there's a problem, they'll tell you about it. If there's no problem, they won't tell you about it. Move on and win the office.
We've only got a couple of minutes left, and we usually do shameless self-promotion at this, which we will take the opportunity to do, but let's go around the room once, starting Rich and then Kara and then Dan. Just speak. We're going to aggressively replay this over the next couple of weeks, just because the three of you have been great in providing real information here to folks. Real meat and potato stuff, red meat stuff. Just give folks the elevator pitch. Why, if they're running for office or they want to be a part of a significant campaign, why they need to to attend this? Dan, why don't you go first?
So the perennial problem with any state affiliate is finding the bodies to do the work. And there's never, ever enough bodies to do the work. And there's always going to be more work, no matter how much we grow. If we want to have every county organized, if we want to have every town with an elected libertarian, we need knowledge in people's minds, and we need that knowledge in their minds to communicate it to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. The only way that we can consistently have good electoral results is if we know what the heck we're doing and we can leapfrog over some of the earlier mistakes. And that right there is why you should be coming out and understanding how to organize a local affiliate group or a statewide affiliate group so they can have the experience necessary to do it right the first time, respect your volunteers' time, and be as truly effective as possible when that perfect candidate comes along so you can support them and build your affiliate around them and build your affiliate without them so you can find the next person.
Wonderful. Again, Dan Kraus, chair of the New Jersey Libertarian Party. Rich Bowen, he is the Region 8 LNC representative, vast experience in campaign management and campaigns in general. What's your elevator pitch for folks to jump on and register tonight?
I think everyone needs to take this campaign training, even people who have been involved in campaigns for many, many years, like me, because the logistics have changed over the years. Boomers like me remember when you ran an election and you spent the summer raising money and getting your door hangers in place, and after Labor Day, going and just knocking on doors and sending out mailers and making phone calls. Well, the advent of early voting and with absentee voting at all-time highs, that doesn't work anymore. So some of the things you've learned in the past, you need to adjust to the times. So it is well worth it. The other issue is you'll need as a candidate, you'll need as many people as you can possibly get. So we need volunteers. We need them at every level. The one thing that happens in a campaign that I remember as a candidate most of all, and even as campaign manager, is there is no finish line. The finish line obviously is election day, but you're going to get to the day before the day of election day, and you under every circumstance are going to say, geez, I could have done more. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more people. Doesn't matter how many you have. Doesn't matter. When you get to election day, it's open-ended. You've never finished the job. You will always be disappointed that you didn't do more, regardless of the results. So we need, campaigns need the help. We need the people. We need the resources, and we need the organization. So these training sessions, especially on the campaign side, will help to organize and redistribute the time, organize the time, because modern day elections are even worse of a time suck because of the early voting. So absolutely. You really need to learn how to manage that time.
Amen to all of you. Kara, let's bring us home here with a little bit of shameless self-promotion. But first, I would be remiss, and I think our other co-hosts tonight would agree. Congratulations to you and to the professional staff for literally, and this is one of these things where it's y'all are sort of a multi-year overnight success, right? This is the culmination of years of experience encapsulated through countless hours of work into a finished product, which is literally revolutionizing the libertarian movement, its approach to elections, and has the real opportunity, as folks clearly embrace this, to change the world. And what I mean by that is that, as I've often done, when I talk about your candidacy in Burnsville, your success there, the folks who are going to take this course and they're going to take it to the streets, and the knowledge and the training and the staff that they're able to build up, y'all are going to be very often the very first libertarians that folks are ever going to meet. And so with that comes the responsibility of being advocates, not only just for our statement of principles, not only being a real movers of our philosophy, but also carrying with you the professionalism mixed with a hands-on approach to stewarding your community resources, because you're able to answer questions, because we're based on not just what it takes to get elected now, we're based on a real philosophy. And because, as like I say, we're right, but based on all of that, this work, it's come full circle, hasn't it? So congratulations to all of you. It's a profound change in the way that the libertarian movement works, acts, breathes, walks, talks. And, it's just outstanding. So give us some shameless self-promotion, how people can reach out to you, how folks can get involved with this. Bring us home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big thing is just to register, and if you have questions, let me know, and I'll get those questions answered. We're really excited to offer this training. All of our trainers are, each time, it's an amazing experience for the attendees, for the trainers. It's pretty incredible, and we learn from the attendees too, which is amazing and fun, and then we can bring that to the next one. And we don't have the ability to squander resources. We don't. And so we have to maximize everything we do. We have to be better than the two old dog vomit parties. We have to be better, and we have to be better in every single way. And that's what we're trying to do. And so when we do this training, whether it is on the affiliate leadership track or whether it is on the campaign track, we're looking to minimize every challenge that we have and maximize every advantage we have, because we do have advantages and we need to press those. And we're also taking best practices that are just, they're known to be best practices, but we're doing them in a way that works for us and that really maximizes every bit of effort that we're doing. So if you want to help get the party ahead, if you want to help get your candidate ahead, if you want to push forward, it's cliche to say that we need to, we need to work,
there's a button there.
I know, right? Then harder, but I mean, we really do. So
wow,
we have great ideas.
It's clear you do.
We need that infrastructure and the skills in place to get them forward and get them out there and be successful. And that's what we're looking at doing. And then when we have the national convention, we're going to have different courses, and those courses will be more intensive within a very smaller area and much, much deeper, right? And then we're going to hopefully flip-flop every other year between these baseline fundamental classes that roll out to the regions to the real intensive, deeper focused coursework that we'll have at the national convention.
Excellent. Kara Schultz, Dan Krause, Rich Bowen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for being apostles for liberty. Just outstanding stuff. I look forward to seeing all of you in the Garden State in Atlantic City. I'm expecting. I have high hopes that somewhere you guys will find for me the cheesiest gambling spot possible. All right.
We'll find something for you, Pat. We'll see if Trump still has a casino out there or not. Oh wait, never mind.
All right. My wife is coming down with me, and I want to surprise her, our 35th anniversary this year. And I would love to do, I can't get her out to Vegas. She teaches. So I would love to do, I'm hoping there's some type of Elvis on Elvis wedding recreation that we could do to renew our vows. I expect nothing less from all of you.
That sounds like a fundraiser to me.
If you met my wife, she could be Priscilla Presley, the young Priscilla Presley. And listen, hey, I'm Elvis. Folks, you've been listening to the Libertarian Affiliate Spotlight on LPTV, Libertarian Party Television, a production of the Libertarian Party Affiliate Support Committee. Valerie Sarwak serving as chair, and of course, the Libertarian National Committee, Whitney Billieu serving as chair. A big thanks tonight to John Gapso on the big board. Folks, John comes in a couple of times a week as a volunteer. He's the one that's been popping up all this information left and right up on screen. It makes it fun. It keeps it lively. It's just outstanding work. My name is Pat Ford. It is my profound honor to speak with all of you twice a week as we get ready to engage in perhaps the most epic battle of all. And of course, I'm talking about the 2021-2022 election cycle. We'll see you in Atlantic City. Have a wonderful night.